Is that a Serpentine setup from Superior Design Concepts? Let's find out. We will be venturing into uncharted territory with the Charger today. I have never, ever put a Serpentine setup on a big block, small block, any kind of block, but today we're going to do it, and I'm excited about it. Repo, could you not touch the camera, man? Come on. What's the deal? He's so excited about it. He cannot wait. We've already unboxed everything. You saw that in one of the previous videos on the Charger, so we're going to go ahead and try to piece this puzzle together, figure out what's going on. Never done it before, but I've got a list of instructions from Jerry, so thank you, Jerry, from Superior Design Concepts for working out with this. So I'll walk through most of it, guys. If you have any questions for me at the end, feel free to leave a comment and ask me. I can show you all the part numbers that you need. When you order the kit, Jerry gives you a list of part numbers and instructions that you need to figure it out. And once I figured out what I needed, it wasn't that hard. A lot of this stuff comes from like a mid-90s Dodge Magnum engine, like the power steering pump, the alternator, all that stuff is pretty simple to figure out. And like I mentioned later, whenever I put this thing together, it was so simple. It was like a bunch of pieces at first, and then whenever you figure out how it works, it's really not that complex. It was pretty straightforward once I bolted it on, and I really like it. It's a really cool kit, and I definitely recommend it. So let's jump into this thing, and we'll see what happens. So the Charger is covered in parts and tools and everything. We're making the Superior Design Concept Serpentine kit for a big block Chrysler work. I've already bolted the water pump housing on, bolted the water pump to it, and then a water pump pulley, and the crank pulley as well. Those are done. I've got all of the bolts laid out over here for measuring, make sure that I get the right ones. And all I'm doing right now is just following the step-by-step guide here that Jerry sent me, and just bolting it on as I go. Just installed the AC compressor bracket, and it was pretty straightforward. I stuck a bolt on the back side here for the water pump housing, and then you have 3 bolts here, the washer, so fairly simple to bolt that on. And whenever I get the air compressor, I'll just have to do 2 bolts there. They're threaded in here in the bracket, so it'll be pretty simple. Now on this side, I have another bracket that I have to bolt on. I'll actually show you guys that one. I've already put 1 bolt in here because it actually goes behind the bracket, and then it bolts to here, here, and here. This bolt does not use a spacer, but these 2 bolts will. And then I'll actually have to put another bolt right there for the water pump housing. Haven't done that yet. I'll have to go grab one. And then the actual power steering pump will bolt from this way. And then it actually has threads on the bracket itself to make it work. So it won't be too hard once we get everything started and working. So here is the bracket for the power steering. Like I mentioned, these holes here are threaded, and I've got a spacer on this side. I'll tilt it, see if I can make you where you guys can see it. There's a spacer on, there you go, on each side. If you look kind of closely, you can see it. Okay, so I figured it out. You actually have to install the power steering pump on first, which I do not have. So this actually does have a nut on the back side. I have all the brackets and everything for it. I just have to actually get the pump itself. And it even comes with a pulley you have to put on it that's for the Serpentine setup. So I'm just going to bolt this bottom one in and leave this one sitting here so I don't lose anything. And we'll just slowly start, you know, making things work. I might set the alternator on there just to see how it looks. So there's both these brackets installed. I put the nut on the back side here, as you can see. I need to add a washer to it, but it's all there and looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, I like the way that it looks, and it's gonna look really good with the turquoise. So let's just throw the alternator on and see how it looks, because like I said, I'm just gonna be sitting here waiting on an air compressor and a power steering pump. So let's just do what we can right now and have some fun with it. Okay, there the alternator is installed. or just sitting there actually. I'm going to take it back off whenever we put the power steering pump on, but I just really got excited and want to see what it looked like. And if you just take a step back, it looks so good in the car. Really excited about this setup right now. And I've got to go ahead and order everything else for it. I need to do that here soon. Hopefully I can get this done this week because I'd really love to see how all this stuff looks on here. So good news is, power steering pump came in, thanks to Rock Auto. Not sponsored, but we will be soon, right? Rock Auto, hit me up. Anyway, we're going to go ahead, put the pulley on. All I've done here is take these two brackets. They're not even tight yet. I just found the bolts to make sure that they worked. And I just put them on just to see how everything was supposed to go. And once we put this pulley on, we'll actually put it on the car. So let's go ahead and do that. I've got the press kit here. And basically this piece right here, I'll unthread it for you so you can see. It threads in. And then we have this piece right here, this threaded piece that has the nut on it, the jam nut or whatever you want to call it. And then you have a bearing that sits under it. Then you set your pulley up on top right here. You want to thread that through. When it does, that bearing is going to ride against the pulley itself. Then you tighten this jam nut up. And then what you can do is once that's all threaded in and set and done for, you can hold it still up top and then tighten this jam nut. And what that's going to do is draw the pulley on. So now let's back all this out. We should be good. There it is. Let's put it on the car. So once you figure out this kit, it's actually fairly simple. I'm not gonna lie. It was a little confusing at first. I really didn't understand all the pieces and parts to it. But once you put it together, it makes so much sense. I was able to really just figure it out, and now I can take it off and put it back on with my eyes closed, basically, as many times as I've done it. But what I did the power steering pump first. You know, you saw the two brackets on the front and rear. It's got a bolt that goes into the back side, but then it's basically, you know, the two bolts go there. You see it right there. And then one above it behind the belt there, the tensioner, or that's the pulley, my bad, the idler pulley. So basically I did that first, then the alternator on this side, and then I did the AC compressor and then the tensioner right here. And I'd already done the water pump pulley and the crank pulley, you saw that. And it was as simple as routing the belt right. I used the picture that was provided with the instructions and pulling the tension off the tensioner, sliding the belt under it, putting it on, and you're done. It's that easy. I really like this kit once I got it together and figured out. So I definitely recommend it. Superior Design Concepts did a really good job with this kit. I like it, and the black anodizing cost a little extra, but I think it was worth it once I got it on here because I think it really breaks up the black and the aluminum finish and all that stuff, and it goes really well with the heads and everything. And it's nice. And yeah, we're going with air conditioning. If you haven't seen before, we're doing air conditioning on this thing. This is actually from Vintage Air, and they will do like a special deal for you if you're running the Serpentine setup. They will sell you the kit without the compressor. That way you can buy this one separately. I got that from Summit Racing, so it wasn't a big deal. It cost about the same. It's pretty much the same price. So they'll give you a discount with everything minus the compressor, and that comes with everything that you need to make this car have modern air conditioning. It's all digital too, so that's pretty cool. But thanks, Jerry, over at Superior Design Concepts. I appreciate the help, and it was a really cool kit. I'm excited about it. The cool thing about it is this power steering pump and this alternator are both for a Dodge Magnum engine, like a mid-90s Magnum, like a 318 or a 360. So you can buy these at any store, basically. So, and this alternator didn't just come on Dodge Magnums. You know, it's pretty generic alternator, but they use these across multiple years. So if you need to find an alternator that works, it's simple. The tensioner, I don't know exactly what it came on, but it was cheap. I got it off Rock Auto. Same thing with the power steering pump. They both came from Rock Auto. The belt came from Rock Auto. But it's a Continental belt. Like, it's a good brand belt. Here's the part number for it if you want to see it. But it's a really nice belt. Look at how nice the pattern is on that. I really like that. This is probably the most expensive part, but it was worth it. And it's a Sandin brand, so it's a really good quality one. And it comes with a warranty from Summit. You guys all know how good Summit is. So whenever I go to the point of actually buying the vintage air kit, it'll all be ready to go. I won't have to worry about it. Right now, I have this nice kinked hose here. I'll fix that later, but it's just to reroute the coolant flow because I don't have my heater box hooked up. This is just to break it in. And then we'll take the Phytech back off and put a carburetor on it that I know that actually works. So I don't want to have to be tuning the Phytech while I'm breaking it in. But yeah, I really like this kit. I really like it. I'm going to go over it once more to make sure everything is tight in the way it needs to be. But it was super simple. And I really like it. I really appreciate it. And the thing about it that's cool is you can kind of mix match the parts that you want. For instance, this is like a 136 amp alternator. You could go with less or you could go with more. But I wanted the 136. I thought it was a pretty good medium. And it'll power all the stuff that we're working with. And, you know, you can go with whatever compressor you want. You can go with a lot cheaper one, or you can go with the one I went with. And, I mean, it's still not that expensive, but, you know, you want to pay for quality. So I was like, I don't want to have to replace this a few months down the road, so let's just get the one that's good now. Power steering pump, same thing. You can get cheaper, you can get more expensive. It's just, it's the fun of it. Now that that's just about finished, it is almost time to dig out our cold case radiator after all this time of waiting. I'm excited about that. And we'll get some hoses, we'll get all that stuff we need, clamps and all, and this thing will be so close to ready to fire. It won't take much after we get our radiator in, our fans. We're just going to straight wire the fans for now, and straight wire the distributor, just enough to get this thing to run. I know that there's going to be someone out there who is very upset about the fact that I put this Serpentine setup. How dare you ruin a perfectly good charger, all that stuff, but I'm all about it. I really think that this is a good setup, and you don't have to do it. I thought it was a great idea as far as maintainability goes, because this is going to be a car that I want to drive. I want it to last a long time, and it's so simple. Changing a belt, I mean, you just unload the tension here, slip the belt off, you just take it off. It's so simple. Reverse the process if you want to put it back on. Slip the belt over here under the tensioner. Look at that. See how simple that was? It's so easy. So when this thing goes on power tour, I'm going to bring a bunch of these extra belts just in case. And if it does throw a belt off, simple as unloading the tensioner, putting it back on. Well, the downside of a Serpentine obviously is that if the belt goes, everything goes. You lose all power to everything. And that is a downside, but it's easy to replace these things. And this was probably like a $20 belt maybe. So it's not that expensive. So I'll buy a few of these just in case. And if we throw a belt, we throw a belt. We'll put another one on and keep trucking. I'll tell you what, Repo loves him some Serpentine belts, don't you, buddy? He just can't even stand it. He can't sit still. Right? Huh? Yeah? He loves it. Look at that. Here's some details up close. Show you all the work that went through with it. Got the bolts in there. The way that bolted on was there's a spacer on the back side. You can't even see it, but there's a long spacer that pushes the pulley out so it'll line up with everything else. And those are just 4 hex bolts. It's really not that hard to do. It bolts on just like a regular fan would. But yeah, you got that. The belt route's under there. And you saw me press that pulley on, so that was simple. The other pulley was as simple as pressing the bearing in and then bolting it on. And then we had our tensioner, which is just a bolt that goes through right there. And then you unload the tension like you just saw me do. Then it wraps around the AC compressor that bolts in the top right there. And then on the bottom right there. And then there's a bolt and spacer that bolts to the head right there. I wanted you guys to be able to see it up close and understand how it all worked. Because it's kind of hard to show everything, but it looks really good on the front of this car. I love it. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you like this setup, go check out Jerry at Superior Design Concepts. He can give you the rundown on everything. And he's a really nice guy, very helpful with all this setup. So Repo really liked it. And if Repo likes it, then, I mean, you can't go wrong with that, right? So if you liked the video, please leave a like down below. If you have any questions for me, feel free to leave a comment. You can send me an email as well. Send in your projects there too. So, right. Oh, Repo loves your projects, guys. He absolutely loves them. Thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.